You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
All right, and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-hosts Kevin and Alex on a special Monday edition of the Tuesday show. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing good. Happy early Merry Christmas to both of you guys as we embark on this Monday show. So that way we could all spend some time with the family here on Christmas Eve and obviously Christmas Day. So, kudos to everyone who's tuning in, right? Who's having a happy Monday night, right? Who have moved on. And for those of you who suffered the pain and agony and suffering of defeat, better luck next year.
Yeah.
I hate that each of the last 2 weeks I've been able to come on here and gloat against one of my co-hosts. 2 weeks ago, I was able to hand Derek a loss in the first round of
in a historic matchup.
It was a historic matchup. And if you heard us talk about, we did do a deep dive on how historic that matchup was. But then again, in the home league this week, after a tough draw for Kevin, I put up another monster week. Not the most monster week, but I put up another monster week, and Kevin just did not have an answer for it. Mainly because he got, like I did actually in one of my other leagues, Jalen Hurts, and that
hurt.
That did hurt quite a bit.
Hurts.
Actually,
it hurts pretty good.
I don't know that it
time
makes
in
a
3
difference.
years he's gotten knocked out for a playoff game.
Yeah,
on me. I'm like,
I don't know that it makes a ton of difference in our matchup. It probably makes it a little bit closer. I don't know that it makes a ton of difference. You had disappointing performances from Cooper Kupp and Zach Ertz that really sunk you. But a Jalen Hurts going out in the first quarter after 4 pass attempts and 11 yards, 3 carries and 41 yards. He was having a hell of a rushing attempt. That did not do you any good. And in my work league, I lost in my championship semifinals by 19 points. I started Jalen Hurts. He got me 5.5 points. I did not start Baker Mayfield, who registered at 58 points in that league. And that one hurts because 19 points probably would have got there with Jalen Hurts. I had the team to do it. Powered by surprise performances again from Jerome Ford. Like Jerome Ford the last 2 weeks has been a godsend for anybody who's playing him because he has put up some big numbers the last 2 weeks. And realistically, him and Kyron Williams are the two that kind of propelled me there. But I'm through to the championship, and as one of our league members has pointed out, it's a rematch of the 2020 championship, where I relied on my 2 co-hosts to optimize my roster and get me the one trophy I have from this league.
Well, now it's time to get a second, and if you knocked both of us out, that means that you gotta do the show proud and bring home the trophy.
I should probably finish it off, right?
Yes, don't stop now.
Yeah,
because I had I made it through to the next round, I would have been moving on to that championship as well. But
you did have another great week.
I don't know. I think that's 5 out of 6 weeks or something like that. I've put up 500 points. So Oh well, it is what it is. I'm living my best life in the knocked out tournament there.
And somehow, and I tell you, like it is crazy how look, he's the number 1 seed for a reason, but man, is Andy's team just a force to be reckoned with, and it shouldn't be. Like it shouldn't be.
He's getting the right guys to have monster weeks. He's getting 2 guys to just pop off every single week, and it's not the
Right.
same two, right? I mean, he had
No.
Jonathan Taylor, who hasn't done diddly squat all year long. So anyone who held on to Jonathan Taylor had to play him.
Really,
Chose to
really
play
reap
him,
the
whatever it
rewards of
is,
their patience.
paid
Yeah.
off. Finally, he paid off finally. So, I mean, kudos to Andy for getting there. His team has been powered by just two guys popping off every single week, and it's working. It
Yeah.
just is. It's absolutely working for him. So it got him there. Congratulations to you and Andy. And we'll see y'all next year. So
And we hope that we're not done yet. We hope we're not done yet.
So, alrighty. Any kind of news, notes, anything we want to hit up, or should we start hitting the chat?
No.
we can hit the chat. Let's see what these guys want to talk about, because I'm sure it's not our home league.
Yeah, I'm sure. Terrence over on YouTube saying that he made it to the championship. Great job, Terrence.
Good job, Terrence.
Congratulations.
And then Binkin on YouTube saying, fellas. That's an enthusiastic intro. I like it.
I think he's got the next one too.
Yep, he does. We'll get to that one in just a second. Terrence saying start three between Chase, Nico, Adams, Cup, and Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know that I can sign off on the Cup side of things. 2 weeks in a row, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
No, and Stafford hasn't been super impressive either. It just, they're finding ways to win games. So kudos to the Rams, but for fantasy performances, Kyron Williams is a guy that I'd like to have. I feel pretty confident with Puka Nacua. Just he's seeing a lot of targets right now, and it's working for Puka as far as the volume goes. But outside of those two, Cup, especially in a situation like this, Cup's no dice for me. Like, you are absolutely rolling out Jamar Chase. Tank Dell going down. Nico's the only show in town now, so you have to start him.
Although it did
as
look
well.
like Deontay Johnson may be coming to town for what that's worth.
He is, but man, is it going to take him a while to figure
Right.
it out down there?
Yeah. So
I think Adams is a start as well.
Over the last 2 weeks, I think those are your three.
Brian Thomas Jr.'s had some good games though too, so I could see if wanting to go that route. But the Cooper Cup's the last guy that I'm rolling out in a championship game at this point.
Mm-hmm. No, I'd agree. So Chase, Nico, and Adams for me right now is where I would be leaning.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I could potentially be talked into Brian Thomas Jr. Just from the standpoint that he's had 2 top 5 fantasy finishes the last 2 weeks with Mac Jones throwing him the ball. Over the last 4 weeks, he's had at least 10 plus targets and 4 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks as well. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind throwing that one in there, and you could talk me into doing that over either Nico or Adams. You could, but initial gut, I would go Chase, Nico, and Adams.
So here's the things that you have to consider. We're on a short week for Nico Collins, right? They're playing on Wednesday on Christmas Day, which, I mean, all 4 of these teams played Saturday, right? Just against each other that are playing on Wednesday on Christmas Day. So they have kind of a short week, but not, I guess it's typical of a Sunday to Thursday, right? Like that's what you're getting. So I don't think, because it is a short week, I don't think that, Deontay Johnson finds his way even onto the field, really. And if he finds his way onto the field for Houston, I think it's just as a decoy to run a route and, see what he can do.
Same role in Baltimore.
Yeah, pretty much. The good thing is he's doing it against his old team. So maybe he's got a little revenge game, but I just don't see him getting acclimated soon enough to make a difference down there. So for me, like in terms of pass catchers, and Baltimore's defense is good, right? Baltimore's defense is stupid good. So it's going to be tough. I think Chase and Adams are your must plays. I like, although Adams is going up against the Bills in Orchard Park. I think Chase and Adams, I think you can coin flip it between Nico and BTJ, and I don't think you go wrong either way. But Cup is certainly, as Derek said, the last one on that list.
Okay. Kevin, any additional thoughts there? Or are you still leaning the Chase Nico Adams?
Chase and Nico for sure. Those are for sure ends. I'm not opposed to BTJ, right? Like Brian Thomas Jr. going up against Tennessee, who is vulnerable right now, right? Like they've just kind of lost their oomph. Yes, it's a divisional game. Yes, they're kind of battling each other out for the cellar of the AFC South. But I mean, I understand why there might be some hesitancy to Devontae Adams in Orchard Park. So, if you'd rather play Brian Thomas Jr., I'm not opposed to that, Terrence. I'm really not. I think I would lean Adams, but I'm not going to pick a fight with anybody who says, Brian Thomas Jr. is their guy and they're willing to, pound on the table for him.
Okay. Call me crazy. What do you guys think if because I'm kind of leaning on the Chase Adams Brian Thomas Jr. almost side of things, just riding a little hot hand there, right? Nico's got Baltimore, and so it's a tougher defense there, but Adams seeing double-digit targets over the last 4 weeks, has a touchdown in each of the last 4 weeks. Brian Thomas Jr. again, double-digit targets there, and then Jamar Chase is your don't even think about it and start a type of thing.
I get it, but I'm a fanboy for Nico.
Fair enough.
I have been since he came out. I've been a fanboy for Nico, so I have a hard time in 50-50, where I would perceive as 50-50 propositions going against him, especially now that I know there's no Tank Dell, there's no Stephon Diggs. Like, yes, it's a shorter week, but they're also trying to set precedents for the playoffs and, all the little things. I don't know. I don't, like I said, I'm not going to fault you. I think those last three are fairly close. We know Cup's out.
Okay.
Right. We know Cup's out. We know Chase is a must start. And then 2 out of those 3. And then sounds like between the 3 of us, we all kind of have a different 2. So, right. I mean, it does kind of round robin. So Terrence, I know that doesn't help. So what I would suggest is, pay attention to the injury report tomorrow, right? As all teams have mandatory reporting tomorrow, and see what pops up. If there's some weird hamstring soreness, soft tissue type soreness that they're kind of working through, then I would tell you to automatically downgrade that player. And maybe you're able to eliminate it that way. And we're just not going to know much detail about it until tomorrow.
Fair enough.
It's the one downside of doing a Monday night show, right? We missed that initial, report that comes out.
Okay. So Terrence, like Kevin said, we've got a for sure start and coin flip between two of the 3 there for you. So, but Kevin gave you some sage advice there on that one. All right, let's go ahead and head on over to the next one here. Binkin, huge week for me on FanDuel. So that's awesome to hear. Yeah. So Binkin, what was the best roster out there that you submitted? Let us know. Terrence over on YouTube saying, if Connor and Dobbins play this week, who are you starting?
I would probably lean Connor, only because I don't love trusting anybody their first week coming off of IR. And with a championship on the line, I don't want to get put into a situation where Dobbins gets, 7 carries as they kind of ease him back into something. And I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen, but that's always my fear when a player comes back from injured reserve is that first game. They're kind of working him back in. The Chargers are in the playoffs, right? I mean, they swept the Broncos this year, so they are kind of firmly cemented in the playoffs. Not that they couldn't drop to the 6 or to that last wild card spot. That's still possible if they were to lose the next 2 and the Broncos achieve a better record, but most likely they're that number 2 wild card team, right? That number 2 wild card team. So there's no sense in them playing. James Conner, there's been something about him, right? He's been good for business this year. So I think I'd be playing Conner personally.
Right. I'd be leaning on the Connor side of things. However, he did have that get his knee a little banged up in that game. So that is something that I would very much be keeping an eye on and be looking into as well, right? Because depending upon what some of these injury reports laid, like that may provide some indication on how healthy Connor is coming into that as well.
I'm gonna add another vote for Connor, and I'm gonna add that if Dobbins is playing, it's going to be cold in Foxborough this weekend. And that's not exactly what you want for, a guy coming off of an injury. If Connor's playing, it's going to be sunny and 70 inside SoFi. So, I mean, I take what you will with it. I think Kevin's points of the Chargers understanding where they're at, and it might just be hey, let's get him a couple touches to get him a feel for it. But the last thing you want to do is run a guy out there who hasn't played in a while on a cold northeastern day, and just run the risk for losing him again.
Yeah, fair enough. Alrighty. Terrence over on YouTube asking Ertz, Ferguson, Strange, or Chiggy this week?
Fergie.
Yeah, there was a lot of people on the Strange. This was the number one question we got last week, Kevin, was, what are you doing with Strange? Is it this guy or Strange? Like it was the number one thing that we got asked last week was, what are we doing with Brenton Strange? And Derek and I think kind of tempered our expectations of it. And I think he lived up to the hype that we were selling, which was, I don't think you need to go sell the farm for Strange. I mean, play him if it's your only option, but I think there are better options out there. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Derek, but that's kind of what I think we were selling. And so like, I think a lot of people are just like on this idea that, oh, he's a pass catching tight end in an offense that's truthfully not that great, if we're being honest. And it's Mac Jones throwing him the football, but I don't know. I agree with you. Ferguson is the play that I'm taking here.
So here's the thing about Brenton Strange that I don't think many people realize is the very beginning of the third quarter in this Jacksonville game, Brenton Strange dropped a pass that was probably 6-7 yard pass, just bounced right off of him. No one around him, dropped it. He got benched and didn't play the rest of the game. And quietly, right? Like they didn't make a big deal of it. You come sit down and you don't come back. But he didn't play another snap, guys. So there's clearly something there for a team that has lost Evan Ingram, for a team that has lost Christian Kirk, for a team that hasn't really been able to find a consistent run game for the overview of the season, for a team that's lost their quarterback, to still get frustrated with a young tight end and said, if you can't maintain focus to haul in that pass, we will sit your butt. So I'm staying away from Brenton Strange. If that's the short leash that he's on, that's fine. But now that we've seen that, like, let's take that information and use it, right? Jake Ferguson is not getting pulled from a Dallas Cowboys game.
No.
Jake Ferguson isn't getting pulled. Zach Ertz was used sparingly.
Right. In a game that had a ton of points.
In a game where there was plenty of points and I needed Zach Ertz to show up, and he went sparingly. Didn't have a catch in the first half. So Chig had a monster week. They were playing catch up.
Mhm.
That's not how the Titans want to play football. They were playing catch up, and the Colts opened the door and let a bunch of dink and dunk check down stuff back in, and it all went to him. So I'm not counting on that from Chig again. I'm not counting on Strange because he has a short leash, and Ferguson is a guy. He's still their number 2 pass catcher.
Right.
You have CeeDee Lamb, and you have Jake Ferguson. Brandon Cooks has come back a little bit, and the Cowboys, right, wrong, or different, they're playing slightly better, right? The defense is playing a bit better. They're trying to rally around Cooper Rush to build some things into this season, and they're not going anywhere, right? The Cowboys do not. It's not like they're fighting for much of anything. I think statistically they're still alive, but they have to have like 60 different things go their way.
They are fully eliminated.
Are they fully eliminated now?
I imagine. Yeah, I was going to say. I imagine they're
more
just playing for contract bonuses, right?
So there you go. So give me Fergie. Ertz, Washington's going to be in the playoffs. If they feel like Ertz is dinged up, they're going to hold him back.
So in this Commanders game,
Fergie.
In this Commanders game last week, 9 different Washington pass catchers were targeted, and Ertz got 2 of those targets. He had 1 catch for 12 yards. Now, I didn't watch that game, so I don't know. I don't know what those 2 targets look like, but 9 dudes were targeted. 8 dudes had catches. Like, it's not great for McLaurin owners because touchdowns are going elsewhere, right? Zacchaeus had 2 touchdowns in that game. Now, Scary Terry did find the end zone, and that was great. Jamison Crowder found the end zone on an efficient day, I would say. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's not bad. But like that's concerning for Ertz owners, and honestly, it burned Kevin this past week in the home league. Ferguson, on the other hand, Cooper Rush loves Ferguson. Like it is one of the few options that he's got, and it seems to be reliable. And Ferguson is putting up consistent points week in and week out. So it to me is Ferguson, and it's a no contest among these 4. It's Ferguson and everybody else.
Yeah, I would agree. Right, it is Ferguson there. Ertz is a guy that's, a guy that's simply just not going to goose you out of the tight end position. Certainly a down week this last week, but he's been pretty reliable with about 4 receptions for right around 40 yards. But I mean, that's kind of both his ceiling and his floor in most weeks. So, if you're playing half point, like right around 6 points that you're going to get there. So, but Ferguson, I think that's your play to go there, especially in a championship week. Terrence asking Eagles, Broncos, or find a streamer for defense this week.
I think I'm going to lean on the Eagles against the Cowboys. Again, Cooper Rush. There's not much of a running game going on. Yes, Rico Dwaddle is playing a bit better, but the Eagles hate the Cowboys. Like, right? I mean, the Eagles cannot stand the Dallas Cowboys. A game that's in Philadelphia, just to put a stamp on a season and just to embarrass the boys. So I'd be riding with the Eagles. The Saturday game between the Broncos and Bengals is interesting. I think the Broncos could potentially limit Joe Burrow just a little bit, but I am worried about the back end and who's not named Patrick Surtain against this Bengals offense.
Right.
Do you think
they're just coming?
He's following Jamar Chase around the entire day? They just like, hey,
No.
wherever 9 is,
No.
go.
Because then you got
Because
T.
as soon as
Higgins.
you do that, you got Higgins. So I think he's just going to have. I think he is just getting ready to psych up and said, "Look, I am going to shut down half the field, and I'm going to trust my teammates to roll coverage over to the other side, and that's how you're going to do it. You're going to double whoever Surtan's not on, and force him to use the tight ends."
Oh.
You have to. You have to force him to use the tight ends. You have to have your outside linebackers disciplined enough to keep Chase Brown, kind of in their crosshairs, and you got to find a way to generate a pass rush with 4 or 5. Like you can't blitz Joe Burrow a ton unless you know you're going to get home. Because that's part of the reason he'll pick you off, and then all the yards after the catch between Chase and Higgins, right? Like the Broncos need to be super careful of that. And yes, they lead the NFL in sacks, and they don't blitz a ridiculous amount, but they do send pressure. It's calculated pressure, but they send it. You got to be careful about that against the Bengals, even when it's calculated. So Vance Joseph and company need a really solid game plan. I don't want to have to bank on the Denver Broncos playing against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 18 to get into the playoffs. As much as I think if the Chiefs lock up the number 1 seed, I could see them not caring as much, potentially. But if you're Bo Nix and Sean Payton and the Broncos, get it done this week. Don't leave anything to chance.
No.
Get it done this week and find a way. So I think defensively they're going to be on point. And the good thing is Cincinnati's defense will give it up a little bit. So the Broncos will be able to move the football. It's just a matter of, can you get the right stops at the right time? Are you able to turn Joe Burrow over once, maybe twice, somehow, right? And go to town. So my guess is it's a higher scoring game too. Right? That total between the Broncos and Bengals, I expect to be higher than the Eagles and Cowboys. So that's another reason I'm gonna lean in the Eagles. A little bit of a down game against Washington. Yes, they were stifled when they lost Hurts. Their running game went away. For some reason, they thought Kenny Pickett was going to air it out, and they thought he was Joe Montana. Like, I don't understand what they were necessarily doing in Philadelphia. Right. Because instead of turning around and leaning on Saquon, you decided to turn around and, here, Pickett, air it out. They're not going to expect you to throw. Go ahead and chuck it around 28 times. Why? Use Saquon Barkley. Like that's how you guys got in this situation. Hand the ball off. So that's my thought about the games.
I think the only other team that I would consider if they're still available and out there is Tampa Bay at home against the Panthers. That would be an intriguing option. I'm going to try to talk myself into sticking with the Ravens on Christmas Day in Houston against the Texans with like CJ Stroud has been kind of non-existent over the last couple of weeks. My team has been winning almost in spite of his performances in the home league. So that's a tough one that I'm facing because I have the Ravens defense and I also have CJ Stroud, and I'm going up against myself this week in the home league. So I have to talk about that. Although I was savvy and picked up Mason Rudolph, who had a decent little game last week, better game than CJ Stroud did in the home league points wise. So I might have to make a last minute call here and see what happens.
There you go. I would also lean the Eagles on the defensive side of this thing, right? Kevin mentioned it that this very well might be a higher scoring affair in that Broncos Cincinnati matchup here. This is a matchup that Cincinnati has to win out. Like Cincinnati's playoff hopes are still alive, but they have to win out in order to make the playoffs, and requires the Broncos to lose out. So they can make that one step closer with a win here. And so and we've seen it that Cincinnati's defense has a hard time stopping anybody. So I would lean on the Eagles. I think you are going to get a lower scoring affair there. I think you're going to get I think that Broncos score might get a little bit on the silly side as far as how many points are actually put up in this one. Like, not going to surprise me if we see both teams get upper 20s, even low 30s in that one. So, any other thoughts on this one?
Nope.
All righty. Young asking, Bengals beat Lions in the playoffs. Well, the only time they would meet in the playoffs is in New Orleans. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be interesting with how depleted the Lions are on defense right now. It'd be an interesting offensive game.
Yeah.
But there's talks Hutch will be back. Right? I mean, so if
Monty
Hutchinson's
might be
back,
back.
like I think that kind of changes the tune. So I don't know that I'd be willing to sign off on that completely, but I do think it'd be a fun game. Like there'd be a lot of high profile fantasy relevant players playing in that one. So I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. Very cool. Any other thoughts on this one?
I'd also the NFL would love it. The storyline of Burrow and Jamar Chase going back to Louisiana, right?
Right.
Yeah. The NFL would love the storylines around it.
Oh, God, could you imagine the drinking game would be every time they mention playing college ball?
Every time they mention the 2019 LSU team.
Yeah, take a drink.
Yeah.
Before they even kick the dang thing off.
Right. All right. Young also saying that Mahomes wants that 15 wins more than anyone in the league.
I disagree with that.
I think
Mahomes wants that third straight Super Bowl more than anybody in the league.
Yeah.
I don't think he gives a rip about 15 wins in a regular season.
Right.
I think they're looking to truly get better week in and week out and just make noise in the playoffs. I don't think he cares whether they have 12, 13, 15, 17 wins in the regular season. He is all about Lombardis.
All righty. And Mr. Magic over on YouTube saying, yo, follows that up with they're in the finals without CMC and Kamara.
That's impressive, dude.
That
Congratulations. That's a grind. So good for you.
I Mr. Magic, I can sort of empathize and sympathize with you. Work league, and if I'd have just made one silly play that I should have done, I'd be in the finals despite having the 101 and taking CMC with that. As it stands, I'm in the championship semifinals or consolation, I guess, third place game. Having taken CMC with the 101, and that one, that is a testament to your roster construction right there, because you get pick one, and this was a 12-teamer that I'm in, so you get pick one, and then you don't pick again until pick 25, 26. That's pretty rough.
Right. Terrence over on YouTube asking Reichardt, Butker, or Will Lutz. Kicker time. Who you got?
You know what's funny is, as I let Kevin ponder this, we did away with kickers in the home league, and honestly, I haven't noticed. Like, I haven't noticed.
The only score. Yeah, it was kind of the only scoring function that we didn't go straight bananas on.
Yeah, and it's been nice to not have to worry about a kicker this year.
Yeah,
if I could, like, PSA to everybody out there starting a fantasy league, yes, I kicked in high school. Kickers have their place in the world. They don't do you any good in fantasy. Just leave them alone. Just eliminate the roster spot, add an extra flex, and be on your way. It's so much more fun that way.
I think I'd go with Reichert because that's the game that's in the dome.
Right. That's where I was just leading to.
Lutz in Cincinnati, Buckner in Pittsburgh.
Both of those games are going to be cold.
Yeah, the wins in Pittsburgh are always swirling. They're always talking about that in the game. And not that Harrison Buckner is not a good kicker, right? He's a great kicker. I mean, there's a good chance Bucker's he's the pick, right? There's a good chance that he's going to score the most amount of points. But when it comes down to it, I want the least amount of variable as possible. And when you can get in a dome, you take out the variable of weather, which can be a massive variable in itself, especially this time of year.
Mhm.
So I think that's where I'd lean. I think I'd play that part safe. Like the last thing I need is a 0 from a kicker, right?
Or a
Or a
negative
Two
negative.
because
extra
they
points. Yeah, right. He got 2 extra points and he missed a field goal. Oh, well, there's 1 point, -1, 0, depending on how your scoring is. I don't need that. I don't need that. I'd rather him kick 4 extra points and know I have my 4 points and call it good.
right. And I would agree on the right card. Any other thoughts on that one, Alex?
When in doubt, take the guy inside.
Fair enough. Young over on YouTube asking Joe Burrow MVP, leading passing and leading in the touchdowns. He's certainly having a good season. I'm not thinking he walks
can't-
away with an MVP though.
And unfortunately, everybody is like, "Oh, is he the most valuable player on a team that's 7-8?" Never going to happen. Like this team is clawing their way into the playoffs. If they miss the playoffs, no chance. No chance does the quarterback of that team win MVP. Like it's just the way that this award works. Now, I think, and I don't know this for a fact, I think the odds-on favorite right now might be Jared Goff.
Gosh,
I think it's
Josh Allen. Josh Allen. Excuse me. You're right. Josh Allen, who they basically all but gave him the award 2 weeks ago. I do think Jared Goff has something to say about that. And I do think that Patrick Mahomes will also be in the mix when it's all said and done. But it seems like it's Josh Allen's award to lose. A good player on a good team. That's generally what has to happen for MVP. They have to be a good player on a good team. Joe Burrow, good player, team's not so good. He's not going to win it.
right.
they get in the playoffs. I think God, I mean, if Cincinnati is able to get into the playoffs, it makes for an interesting conversation.
Right.
Now, here's why Josh Allen will still get it. His rushing prowess and the fact that they started the year and we were asking, who's Allen even going to get the ball to?
Who is he
Right?
going to
He
throw
doesn't
to? Yeah.
have a Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins. He has a Dalton Kincaid who we thought would be far more active than what he is this year, right? And with injuries, whatever. And he's Khalil Shakir, Coleman, now, Cooper. It just, Cooper's not having a great time there in Buffalo, which I'm really surprised about. I thought him and Allen would kind of click a little bit more, but it is what it is. James Cook is thriving, right, with teams focusing so much on Josh Allen. So I think this is his year. I think he probably should have won it 2 years ago and didn't get it. I understand why we gave it to why they gave it to Lamar Jackson last year, but to me, it's Josh Allen because of what he's doing with really no notable cast around him. I think what Joe Burrow is doing is what we expect Joe Burrow to do.
Right.
And I think what Josh Allen is doing, as crazy as it is, has surpassed expectations for what we thought Josh Allen could do with this team.
Right.
You know who's never going to win an MVP? The quarterback for Justin Jefferson, because that guy's proving that he's like quarterback proof, right? Like,
I mean,
he's
it
just
would
putting up
be
fantastic
if he could
year.
ever get with a top 5 QB though,
Oh
right?
man,
Like if he could
man.
get with
If he could get with a guy like
someone
Joe
the
Burrow,
caliber like Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or anything like that'd be crazy. But I mean, Minnesota's not going to do that. I'm really scared of Justin Jefferson next year if JJ McCarthy's the guy.
yeah,
I am really scared of that.
Yeah.
Because you are going to have to suck and deal with the suck for the first half of the season until
kind of like
McCarthy kind of clicks, and
what
then
happened with the Broncos and Bo Nix, right?
Yeah,
You have
right.
to endure. You have to endure a guy learning how to play it at this level. It
Right.
is a different beast.
Right. But yeah. Any other thoughts on this one? Alrighty. Mr. Magic over on YouTube asking, how do you feel about Devontae Smith if Jalen Hurts doesn't play?
The way they let Pickett air it out on Sunday, I say I'd feel okay about it. I mean, Devonta Smith is not my go-to number 2 receiver in the NFL. Like he has some games that are really solid, and he just disappears a little bit too much for me. I'd much rather have a T. Higgins type for a number 2. Maybe then Devonta Smith. Jalen Waddle's really the one that I never will draft. I will never draft Jalen Waddle as long as Tyreek's in Miami with him. So I don't mind it. I think he's a flex option, really, is where I think Smith falls in. I think he's a flex option. I don't think he's a true number 2 wide receiver option.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know that I trust him in my flex. It really depends on what else I've got to start there. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
Michael over on YouTube are saying that they were down by 10 and the Packers defense got them to the championship. They have the Chargers, and Packers was leaning to the Chargers by championship. Opponent has the Vikings. He didn't stash another defense.
Yeah, cosign.
Yeah, I think of the options here. You take the Packers because the Chargers are going up against Denver.
No, that was this week. They're going up against New England.
Excuse me.
In
Yes.
Foxborough in a cold weather
Sorry,
game.
I just looked at the wrong schedule. Chargers obviously played Denver. I'd rather forget about that. I told Derek too. I was watching that game, so it's not going to go well for the Broncos, and here we are.
The first half did.
Yeah, I was watching that, and then I was also watching the second half where it stopped. Really, it was the fair catch free kick that was the turning point in that one. But yeah, I go Chargers.
Yeah, so would I. Right, the Packers against the Vikings. Like, I get that you could square off in the championship with defense against defense in that deal, but if you've got the Chargers going up against the Patriots, like, there's a good chance the Patriots struggle to get to 13 points in that game, I think.
Yeah, I think they blew their shot against the Bills, right? Divisional opponent and everything else. I don't think they care about the Chargers.
Right. So, yeah, I wouldn't mess around with that. I'd just go with the Chargers on that one. Binkin over on YouTube saying that the best lineup they had on FanDuel had 228 points. That's a solid week for sure.
It's a great week. Good job, dude.
Mr. Magic over on YouTube. Which 3 do you like between Kupp, Devonta if Jalen plays, Keenan Allen, or Charbonnet if Walker's out?
I like Sharp if Walker's out.
Yeah.
I don't want Walker to be out.
Given this and all the ifs, right? Like, based on what it is, I think I would rather have Charbonnet, Devonta Smith, and Cooper Kupp. I get the Bears have been moving the ball a little bit, but that just seems like such a nasty proposition. And I know the Rams' passing attack has been so funneled around Puka, but I have a hard time turning away from Cooper Kupp and playing Keenan Allen.
Right. And the Bears are playing Seattle. Seattle's been decent.
Been decent. It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. 3 of them? So of that 3, for me, Charbonnet is the lock. If Kenneth Walker's out, Charbonnet is the lock.
Right, and then it's Kupp and Devonta. What happens if Charbonnet?
What about Kupp and Keenan? I mean, do we really like Devonta Smith that much?
No, not at all. But
like, that's kind of my thing too. Like,
trying to see if I can talk myself into starting Keenan Allen against Seattle. Okay, here's the road in which I could potentially start him.
Like 141 yards against Detroit.
right? And
I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you just play that hot hand and you leave Cup alone. Devonta Smith, Keenan Allen, Zach Charbonnet. You just play the hot hands.
yeah, because Keenan Allen, out of the last 5 weeks, has scored a touchdown in 4 of them. Every week he scored a touchdown, he's been wide receiver 2 or better. And most of those weeks, he's a wide receiver 1. So,
Yeah, but
And
the
26
8
targets over the
Detroit.
last 2 weeks.
right. Like, I think Keenan Allen is a play there. I think that's. So I think it's Charbonnet's the lock if Kenneth Walker's out, then Keenan Allen, then Devonta Smith, kind of in that order is how I'd roll. If Charbonnet misses, I think if Walker plays, I think you go with the 3 wide receivers.
I'd agree with that.
I-
I think no matter what, if
Right.
Walker plays, you automatically go with the 3 receivers. I completely agree with that.
Any other thoughts on this one?
Nah.
All right. Binkin over on YouTube saying Baltimore's offensive line has improved and are really creating a nice pocket for Lamar. Couldn't have come at a better time. Take that for what it's worth moving forward. Some good insight. Michael over on YouTube. If you are in the championship game, I would not overthink things. Stick with the guy. Stick with who got you there, unless, of course, injuries.
Well, Alvin Kamara got me there. Not this last week, but that one hurt.
Right.
Kenneth Walker has been banged up, and I've been able to weather that storm because I've had Alvin Kamara, but I don't have that option anymore. So
You still got Kyron, though.
I do have Kyron. I have Kamara's backup, who, let's be honest, did not impress tonight, but really nobody on New Orleans did. I still have Kyron. That's helpful. I still have Devon Achane. That's helpful. Yeah. Johnny Smith has been a welcomed addition.
Right.
But yes, I think that's sound advice, Michael. That is sound advice. Stick with the horses that got you there. Don't overthink it, because you can, paralysis by analysis. That's a thing football coaches like to say. And you can get yourself stuck by just overthinking the whole thing.
Right. So, any other thoughts on this one?
Nope.
Alrighty. Binkin over on YouTube saying at talking to Young, that MVP guy is Lamar. No, I think it's still Josh Allen at this point. And I know Vegas certainly has the odds-on favorite of Josh Allen at this point, and it's a pretty wide margin at that point too. Any other thoughts?
Lamar's had a good season, right? It's not taking anything away from Lamar, but again, Josh Allen is doing this with nobody, and that's part of what the allure to this is. He does not have a dominant number 1 receiver. He does not have a top flight, Hall of Fame tight end on the roster. He is doing this with a bunch of number 2s all across the board, and a running game that's performing well. As good as Lamar Jackson's been, I would tell you I still think of Derrick Henry first when I think of Baltimore.
Right.
And Lamar's had a good season. And Lamar's had a good season. For me personally, I'm thinking of Derrick Henry first. So it's not to take away from Lamar. He's just had a good partner in crime, for lack of better words, right? They've been able to create a good balance between the two of them. And when it comes to MVP, at times that hurts you more than it helps you. And I think that might be the case with Lamar this year. Is Henry's been so good. I mean, how many touchdowns has Henry taken essentially away from Lamar this year?
Right. Well, and the emergence of Zay Flowers as well, right? Like Zay Flowers is having kind of a silent breakout season. It's already over 1,000 yards, and is certainly putting up a very good season.
Quietly, right? Like
Right.
we don't ever talk about Zay Flowers.
No, but he's
And it's not because he's a bad player. He's just he's that silent assassin.
So, any other thoughts on this one? Smokey the Cat, is it wrong to be mad at Josh Allen? I lost 2 of my 3 semifinals, lost by 6 and 10 points. Everyone else on the team had double digits. It's tough when your superstars put up a dud, but at this point, there's a lot of those types of deals when looking at that. Like, had Josh Allen not had some of those weeks previous, would you even be in the position to have been there? Right? Like that's some of that when I see some of those, helps me kind of put that in perspective, right? Like if you didn't have the 41 points out of Josh Allen in week 15, would you have made it to week 16?
Yeah, I'd agree. You're allowed to be disappointed with the outcome,
Right.
but I don't know. I don't know if I'd be mad. Like Justin Jefferson, cost me a fantasy championship last year because he could not get over on the Packers. Not mad at him. I still kept him. I still play him every single week. Like I still like Justin Jefferson. Like I mean, I'm frustrated with the result. I'd like for it to be better, but I don't know. It doesn't mean that, doesn't mean that his performances haven't been great this year. And again, if you get mad and you say I'm done with Josh Allen, where are you pivoting? I mean, it's a clean slate in a redraft league, but you either draft Josh Allen, maybe you try and wait depending on where you are in the draft cycle, and maybe you're able to get a Joe Burrow and you can kind of lean on that. Maybe, Joe Burrow gets hurt again like he did last year, and now you don't have Joe Burrow. Like the beauty about Allen is he's there for you every week. Every week. And yes, it was a bit of a bummer performance. And yes, we thought the Bills would just kind of wipe the floor with the Patriots. And kudos to the Patriots. They stepped up. That was their Super Bowl. That was their Super Bowl. They were trying to get one over on the division leaders. And for all intents and purposes, about did it. Right? I mean, they were up in that game 7-0. They were up 14-7. They were up, excuse me, a little bit in the second half. It just, the Bills proved to be too much as a team, but I'm not mad at Allen about that. Like, it's hard to ask a guy to put up 4 or 5 touchdowns a week. It's just unheard of. And he had been doing it for the last 3-4 weeks, right? He had been Superman for the last month. He just came back down to earth at the wrong time.
It's true. Well, I mean, it's one of those two, right? Like you bring up an interesting point on who you're going to pivot to, right? Like Josh Allen since 2020 has been QB1 in fantasy, with the exception of 1 year where Patrick Mahomes beat him out by like 10 points that season. Yeah. Lamar Jackson currently ahead of Josh Allen after this past week, but it's simply Josh Allen, and then the next guy is a further ways away, right? Like that's a little bit of a positional advantage. So,
and if you look at tiers, right, at the beginning of this year,
right,
to go right along that, where was your pivot? Jalen Hurts, he got knocked out. Like same type of tier, right? We were talking about these guys very close to each other in the draft, and where you would draft them. So if it's not Allen, is it Hurts? Because you'd get the same result. Hurts did well for you all season long. Didn't really have a stinker. Like he found ways with the rushing work and the tush push touchdowns and everything else. And I mean, Hurts got knocked out. So your pivot, right, in revisionist history, your pivot gets you the same result. You might be in this exact same situation with Hurts. So I don't know. It's a game. This is where it's a game. Like, I am not going to hold it to these players, right? Defenders get paid too. They come up with schemes to stop these guys. These guys have raw emotions. It's a physical game. There's concepts that the average fan does not see, understand, or comprehend. and we get to watch all unfold every single, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night for the most part. You know what? Even Michael Jordan missed some free throws, right? Even Kobe missed a couple buzzer beaters. Like, stuff happens.
Yeah. All righty. Bacon over on YouTube asking if Barkley breaks the rushing record, is he the MVP in the MVP talks?
He should be.
Yeah.
He should be. I mean, I don't know if he's going to win it. He should at least get some votes. Like, that'd be amazing. In a league that is pushing passing, right? Down the field, big plays. We're going to disregard the running backs, pay the receivers, the offensive line, and the quarterbacks. Running backs are a dime a dozen. What Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry are doing this season is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And quietly, you're having a couple other running backs have some really good years too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jahmyr Gibbs having a really strong season. Kyron, we were worried that Kyron wasn't going to stay healthy, right? That was a big concern heading into this year. Guess what? He stayed healthy. Kyron's been really good,
Right.
Devon Achane has had a really good season and even managed to have that through the downtime of Tua with the concussion.
Right.
Like, Alvin Kamara, another older running back who's had a really good season. Chuba Hubbard, a guy who just got paid and is doing it, for all intents and purposes, could be argued as a league winner because of the value that you got Chuba Hubbard at, right? And I know I'm getting off track a little bit, but just the running back position in general has been devalued so much. But these guys are clearly valuable. Clearly valuable.
Right.
It's just got to catch back up a little bit because Saquon, what he's doing for the Eagles is awesome. Derrick Henry has been amazing for the Ravens. Chuba Hubbard has been the shining bright spot of the Carolina Panthers. And now Bryce Young's starting to kind of pick things up a little bit, which is good, right? We need good young quarterbacks in this game. Chase Brown, from splitting time with Zach Moss to clearly being the number one guy, yes, because of injury, but Chase Brown's been, kind of a set it and forget it RB2 for the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of good running back play going on right now, and the NFL needs to catch up and figure out how to compensate some of these guys because you're not just going to get that off the street, no matter what anybody is thinking in the front office.
Right. Well, and you look at it too, right? Like you're talking about some of these guys having really good years, right? Like to just kind of put an exclamation point on that, like Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, teams that are lining up on the other side of the ball know that they're going to run the ball with those guys and run it a lot. They're still averaging almost 6 yards a clip through 300 carries throughout the season. Like 5.9 yards a carry is astounding out there, right? Like that's one of those we're going to run it on first down. Okay, we're going to run it on second down. All right, we got another first down. Let's run it again, right? Like those are the types of things you can rinse and repeat, and the offensive lines are phenomenal there and helping achieve that, right? But if Saquon breaks the record, I think that is something that could certainly put him in the MVP talks and potentially even put that in a position to try and win, right? Like the last running back to win the MVP, if I'm not mistaken, was Adrian Peterson back in 2013, going up against Peyton that year. And he was the last time a running back had won it before him was LaDainian Tomlinson back in 2006. Like this is a quarterback centric award almost anymore. And it comes down to that. But if
here's what pisses me off about the NFL, and I'm not trying to cut you off, is if it's quarterback centric, but then so the quarterback will get MVP, but then they don't get offensive player of the year.
Right.
And I can see where this is what happens, right?
Yep.
They'll give Josh Allen the MVP because he's the quarterback, but Saquon will get offensive player of the year.
Yes.
What? Like, this is where I hate some of these awards.
Right. Yes. So, but yeah, I mean, that season that that Adrian Peterson did win it, like he just came up short of Dickerson's record, right? If Barkley happens to break it, like that's a record that's been around about 50 years at this point. Like that very well could change the voting on that. But anyway, any other thoughts on this one?
Nah.
Mr. Magic saying it's so hard to sit Cooper Kupp, even though how bad it's been. LOL. Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. I gambled there and lost this week.
Terry saying shout out to Barkley, Achan, and JT. So Terry was liking his weekend with those three, I'm sure. Mr. Magic, Kamara could come back. I think he mentioned needed about 50 yards or so to hit 1K in rushing.
Yeah, and I thought I read somewhere, heard somewhere that Kamara was having season-ending surgery, but I guess that's not the case. It's possible, but I don't think it's likely.
Yeah.
They got nothing to play for in New Orleans. They just got boat raced on Monday Night Football. Like, yes, if he needs to get 50 to come back for 1K, but like, what's the reward versus the risk?
Yeah. And that's one of those that you'd want to pull up a contract to see if there's a bonus at that point for it.
Yeah.
So, and what that bonus is, and if it's a deal there. But I did see reports late last week where they were contemplating on potentially just adding Kamara to the IR. So
yeah,
I think that this is still one that's very much up in the air and could kind of go either way. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No.
All right. Binkin saying that they don't know if they've seen a better pocket all year than what Baltimore showcased last week. Binkin is our offensive line expert is
the resident dirty bird.
There you go.
They're not the dirty birds. That's Atlanta. By the way, what a surprising debut for Michael Penix.
Yes.
Did not expect that. And I got congratulations to him, but I did not expect that.
All righty. And then Terry saying to me, to the other league, shout out to Connor, Barkley, and JT. Terry was just loving his running back day all day that this weekend.
Heck yeah.
Terry saying that running backs are king and that the Bills need to feature Cook more. Yeah, I would agree with that one. Mr. Magic saying play Dobbins or Spears this week.
I would play Dobbins. That's where I would gamble. If Dobbins is active and they say he's going to play, I would trust that and go Dobbins.
Yeah. Then at least you're probably getting the first string guy or the guy that's going to get the first snap, first crack at it versus Spears, who is going to be playing behind Pollard most likely. Any other thoughts on this one? All right. Jamie over on YouTube saying, yo, bros, happy holidays. Welcome back in, Jamie.
Happy holidays, Jamie. And happy holidays to you, Ben King. Ben King? Yep. How are we saying your name?
I'm going with Ben King.
I would have gone with Ben King.
Well, there you go. Bingen, let us know how that pronunciation goes. We're having a tough time, apparently.
Happy holidays.
All righty. And then I'm not sure. Tito Leawood is how I think that's
Tito Leawood.
Over on YouTube, traded for Kittle in the Dynasty League right before the playoffs. Would have lost this week without that move. Trying for back-to-back next week.
Congratulations.
Well,
savvy move.
Back-to-back's tough, man. Back-to-back's tough.
Especially in those dynasties where you've really got those windows that you've got to line up and get to come together. So it's an excellent move. Awesome. Well, I do believe that that's going to take us down here to the end of the chat and the comments there. Guys, if you have any last questions, comments, concerns, throw them out there. Let's get those chatted about. Let's get those rocking and rolling. Oh, and Jamie bringing in here. What is your favorite Christmas movie? His is The Gremlins, Die Hard, Rocky IV, and Lethal Weapon.
Gremlins is a Christmas movie?
Yes. happens on Christmas. It's a Christmas movie.
All right.
It's
The
my
Rocky Four
brother-in-law's
one, yeah.
favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah.
We talked about that a lot this year. Yeah.
The
I know
Rocky
there's
Four,
great debate about Die Hard being a Christmas movie. but
Listen, it
does
takes
take
place during a
during
Christmas party.
Yeah.
Case closed. It's
I
a
like
Christmas
that Jamie has decided that he's not actually going to like Christmas movies. He's just going to like movies that take place during Christmas. They're not distinctly Christmas themed movies. They just like Harry Potter's a Christmas movie, right? Like that's what Jamie has decided are his favorite Christmas movies.
Why? Because they have like a scene that happens year
It's
round.
just there's-
Harry
there's
Potter
Christmas
touches every
somewhere.
season throughout the year.
Yeah, but there's always a Christmas part. So Harry Potter's a Christmas movie.
Oh,
I think I might draw the line there.
yeah, yeah.
If it all took place like in the winter, I think I could buy that. But
Potentially.
there's so much of that movie or any one of those movies that takes place where it's not in the winter.
But especially since some of those movies are 2.5 hour long, and you've got a Christmas scenes. It's
two
like
scenes
5
right
minutes.
in the middle.
Yeah,
'Cause it's the middle of the school year, which shame for those kids. They never get to go home for Christmas. Whatever. That's neither here nor there.
Christmas Vacation's a classic.
yes.
Is that your favorite one? So my rule is I have to watch Love Actually every year. I think that's a fantastic film. So
So one that I like because I sitting down watching it with the kids, I really like the Polar Express. Like
we watched that one the other day. I think it's
watching that with my kids is fun. They enjoy the movie. So my
Tom
personal
Hanks. How do you
twist
go wrong
versus
with
my
Tom
dad twist, right? It's like, they're enjoying it. I can sit down and enjoy it too.
Yeah, the Illumination that group there, How This Grinch Stole Christmas. That was a really good one.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Elf, like the Will Ferrell Elf.
Yes, I like Elf.
It's a good classic.
Did you guys ever see Spirited? It's Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell.
No.
Take on Ebenezer Scrooge and all that kind of stuff.
On A Christmas Carol. By the way, A Christmas Carol, fantastic film.
I refuse to believe that Ryan Reynolds has done anything but play Deadpool.
Which he's done fantastically, right?
Yeah, been amazing.
But yes, I would also go with Spirited in there as well. Not as well known. Interestingly enough, right? They've got that new one with the Red One or Red Force One or whatever with The Rock and all of that. I think I'm going to have to check that one out. It's over on Amazon. I saw that one the other day. It's on the list. We'll have to watch it.
There you go. Bad Santa. Oh, Billy Bob. Bad Santa is an awesome Christmas movie. It's so funny.
Our other favorite Christmas films this year will be on Netflix. And they'll be, are they going to be able to stream a live sporting event?
They did it with the Tyson Ball fight.
Buffer.
Terribly.
Did they?
Terribly.
Because I don't think they did.
And you think that community was mad?
Yeah.
Wait till you mess with the NFL community, and
not just the NFL community, but the NFL community plus Swifties, because it's a Chiefs game there in the afternoon. So
I need that the Steelers fan base as well.
I'm just saying that you don't mess with Swifties. Too. You don't do it.
Yeah,
just don't do it. It's not
high
good
profile. Profile.
Yeah. So that'll be the interesting thing to see how that streaming platform survives. A huge, absolutely huge. There's nothing more watched than the NFL, right? In this country, there's nothing more watched than the NFL in this country.
It's very true.
And you're not going to see, on Christmas Day when there's nothing else going on, Netflix had better figure it out. Or it will be the last time that there are Christmas Day games on Netflix.
I'm annoyed that any of these streaming platforms get games. Any of them.
Yeah.
ESPN streaming platform, Amazon Prime streaming platform, Netflix streaming. Stop it.
Money talks.
Binkin say that their favorite is also Home Alone, and then he also said Bad Santa as well. So
Home Alone's a classic. That's a good one.
Jamie saying that a college study concluded that Die Hard is more of a Christmas movie than Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I too went to college, Jamie, and I did plenty of studies myself that came out with some crazy findings.
I could find multiple sources to support any conclusion I wanted to make, is what I found doing that. I'm actually not going to go into the rest of that because I do know that there are some youngins that do tune in every so often, and I don't want to ruin Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for them, Jamie. But I appreciate you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Elaborating on all of that. So anyway. In conclusion, Jamie says that Tiger was more of a Christmas movie than Rudolph. So, alrighty.
That's good stuff, Jamie.
This
Happy holidays to you, Jamie.
That was certainly not.
Maybe lay off the eggnog.
We'll have more of it. You know,
or have more. Yeah. Do your thing. Enjoy yourself.
It's the season, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that was not one that a conversation that I thought we'd even broach tonight. So kudos to to everybody tuning in and the fan base for throwing that out there. Jamie also saying LOL and Fax 100. So awesome. Well, guys, I do think that takes us down here to the end of the chat and the questions. Any kind of final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Merry Christmas, y'all. Enjoy the time with the family. Enjoy the Netflix stream if you're going to partake in between cups of adult coffee and hot cocoa and whatever else you're leisurely enjoying on Christmas Day. But have fun. Congratulations to all those in the finals. I wish everyone nothing but good luck, unless you're playing me, and then I hope you lose. But as always, at Good Old Boys FF. If you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to hit us up. We will still be attached to our cell phones, even though we are not going to be going live tomorrow night. So if you guys need a secondary opinion or just something to bounce off of somebody, hit us up, let us know. We'll be happy to impart our opinion of what we think we would do.
Also, not because I'm part of this group, but quick shout out to everybody who's got to work on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Appreciate everything that you guys do to keep the world turning while we take some time away for the holidays.
Absolutely. And appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. Always lots of fun getting to chat with everybody. Tune in. As a reminder, this Friday is going to be the last fantasy football huddle, the Friday night show. We're going to call it a season at the end of that one, but the Tuesday show rolls on year round, and we'll be back next Tuesday as well to get that kind of rocking and rolling on that one. Binkin was saying, "All right, boys, nice chatting. See y'all on the next one. Merry Christmas." Jamie also saying, "You guys rock. Best stream on the internet." But appreciate everybody.
Appreciate you both.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks. However we say your name,
Binkin.
So, all righty. Appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in, but that's going to do it for us tonight. Happy holidays. Everyone have a hopefully a very happy and healthy and safe one and all of those good things. We'll see y'all again. For the boys, he's Kevin. He's Alex. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.